Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is November 25th, and right now we're looking at the visible slash infrared satellite imagery. You can see the sun's rays starting to move across the lower 48 here. Some pretty cold air east of the Rockies. We're also having pretty cold air settle down across much of the southwest here. Pretty chilly for some of the interior locations, and we'll take a look at that. There's some freeze advisories and some freeze warnings out there as we speak. If we look across the Pacific, this is where our next weather system is coming from. It's going to be moving towards the west coast over the next few days, and it looks like we're going to get more of an active pattern here as we go towards the end of the week. We'll dive into those details as we go through here this morning. You can see the coastal areas here largely absent of the marine layer as we speak, but we did get some precipitation here over the last 24 hours or so across Southern California. We'll look at those totals here starting now. You can kind of see the elevation here on the right, and you can see the precipitation amount. Some places got over 0.2 of an inch, up over half an inch there for Central Valley fire. So interesting stuff there, and that was as of 5 a.m. this morning. Now, looking at this day in SoCal weather history, check it out. A severe thunderstorm in 1965 produced golf ball size hail and a tornado. That's pretty crazy. Path of the tornado was estimated at 1 mile in length and up to 75 yards wide. In 1985, a low pressure system all the way from Hawaii atmospheric river got Southern California the second day in a row. And you can see 1995, you can get some pretty dense fog events here this time of year. Also, San Diego County coast produced two massive car accidents there. And you can see way back in 1918, a powerful storm produced a 96 mile per hour gust at Mount Wilson. Now, taking a look at what's going on currently, we have a beach hazard statement. So we got some sneaker wave activity out there. We got some high tide, so we got some coastal flooding potentially as well. And this goes through 8 a.m. Sunday, and you can see this is for the Bay Area. The coastal area is all the way down through Big Sur here. Now, taking a look here, you can see we have some freeze warnings, and you can see the coastal flood advisory for San Francisco County, I do believe it is for here. And we've got some sneaker wave activity up and down the west coast of North America as well. So if you are on the ocean over the next few days, really anywhere along the west coast, it might be nice and sunny out there, but watch out for those sneaker waves. It can really run up above the normal wave height. Taking a look here at the freeze warning, you can see this does include the I-5 corridor, including Merced out there. It does not include Fresno here, but this goes all the way in through this week. Pretty chilly temperatures, especially if you are in a wind-sheltered location. So, yeah, heads up for that. Now, looking at freeze warning Sunday morning, this does include Las Vegas, actually, and Baker there, Mountain Pass. You can see Interstate 15 here, 29 Palms. It does include them as well. So, again, just a heads up for the chillier air. And this is for Joshua Tree, and you see Blythe over here in Parker for this all the way in through Sunday morning. Now, Flagstaff National Weather Service, like they put this picture out here. They got their first official inch of snowfall so far this season. So, yeah, pretty chilly Arctic air mass moving across the region. And if you want a nice, affordable home weather station to record all this crazy weather we get here along the west coast of the USA, click on that link down below to save 10% off. I think you can still get 20% off at this time if you use my checkout code as well. So go ahead and check it out. All solar powered and wireless. Stores all the data for you in the cloud. Taking a look at the peak wind gusts here, we have some northeast winds coming. The Santa Anas are going to start blowing. It's not going to be as strong as the last event, but they are going to be blowing out here. And you can kind of see again how the Los Angeles metro relatively sheltered versus some areas across the higher terrain of Westlake and Oxnard out there as well. Now, taking a look at the NAM 3KM, this is a 12Z run, hot off the presses. If we put this into motion, you can kind of see that northerly winds coming down, and you can see the northeast winds starting to emerge as we go through the day today, kind of picking up as we go through tonight and into tomorrow morning, as you can see across much of the area. And you can see even some of the Sierra Nevada has that offshore component as well. Still some northerly winds as we go into tomorrow, moving down the Valley areas, also some offshore component across some of the Bay Area, really up and down the coastline there. Some pretty good offshore component here. But again, not as strong as event as last time, but still some gusty winds out there. And this goes through about Monday afternoon shown here. Some strong north winds out across the desert areas as well. Now looking at across the Pacific Ocean, got the Hawaiian Islands here. You've got Washington, California there. There's Japan to the far left. There's Alaska. If we put this into motion, you're going to see our next system start to approach the coastline here. And this one, it's a fairly weak system, but it's starting to show that it may bring some precipitation to the state of California. Then what looks to set up is we've got some type of ridging out over the Pacific Ocean here, but we've got systems moving up and over that ridge and down into California. So we do have a few rounds of precipitation possible. And if you look across the Hawaiian Islands there, you see a little dip in the jet stream, like kind of a cutoff low there. That's known as a Kona low, and these can be pretty extreme precipitation makers across the state of Hawaii. So I may actually do a separate video on that, because that's that's a pretty dynamic looking storm across Hawaii. So if you have plans going out to the Hawaiian Islands as you go on in through this following week, heads up and maybe stay tuned for that video. Hopefully I can get that out today. But you can see as we continue on in through the extended forecast, the jet gets extended across the Pacific Ocean and starts to bring potentially some powerful systems towards the west coast. We don't know where those are going to set up right now. Looks like the Pacific Northwest kind of targeted with those storms, but we'll watch that as we go day by day. Still plenty of time to figure that out. This is looking at the GFS as of last night. We're looking at 6-hour precipitation type and mean sea level pressure. Also, the blue and the red lines are 850 millibar temperature. So that's what's going on at about 5,000 feet, if you're wondering what the little blue squiggly lines and the red lines are. We put this into motion. There goes the last of the precipitation as we go through the day today across some of New Mexico there. And then we're waiting for our next system here. You can see it spin up and move towards the coastline. The GFS wants to just kind of harmlessly drop this down the coastline, maybe some light precipitation for the coastal areas. The European has something different in mind, but then you can see the systems start to ride over the top of this ridging out over the Pacific Ocean here and bring some interesting precipitation totals to the state of California, kind of one after another there, and then another system as we go on into the following week there. Plenty of time to work that out right now because there still is some model disagreement, but the overall general pattern of the ridging being here and the systems riding over the top of the ridging into the state of California looks to be getting some agreement, and you can see some strong storms moving into the Pacific Northwest here through the extended forecast. Now, taking a look here at the European. So this is last night's run, and you can see that Arctic air mass brought that precipitation across Arizona, some snow for the higher terrain, and a bit of precipitation for Southern California moves out. We get the offshore flow. Santa Ana's will be going, and here comes the next system on the European. You can see it spin up pretty similar to the GFS, but it does move inland a bit more and brings some precipitation for the Bay Area, the Central Coast, and down through Southern California as we go on in through the mid portion of this upcoming week. And then you can see it brings additional systems with some pretty good precipitation amounts across some of the coastal areas in the Sierra Nevada. So we'll see which model trends here as we go through the next few days, but you can see it does bring 1, 2, 3 systems in here, and then it points that powerful storm system into the Pacific Northwest, but still kind of far out, almost 10 days out at that point. Now looking at the GFS, so this is 500 millibars, 18,000 feet, the general ridge and trough position. This was associated with that Arctic air that moved down across a lot of the USA here, and then we bring our next system. You can clearly see it off the coastline, moving towards the coastline there. Trough kind of hangs out. Now you've noticed we got this ridging here, and this is the track these systems are going to be taking into the state of California. So it's not a warm, moist southwest flow, but more of a northwest flow here, which can be a little devoid of precipitation. But again, we'll watch these as we go. You can see the big precipitation amount discrepancies between the European and the GFS, and then we continue on in towards the 10-day period or so, and it kind of brings some stronger systems into the west coast right now, targeting the Pacific Northwest. Now, taking a look at Arcata Airport, this is Crescent City, and you can see some pretty wet solutions showing up here as we go in towards the end of the week and on through the next week here. But there's some big discrepancies. Some huge amounts are showing up here, but there's some ensemble runs with much less. Here's San Francisco. This is that initial precipitation maker here, and you can see it's pretty wet on the European. Actually, the control run had up over 1/2 inch for some of the Bay Area here. Of course, there'd be higher amounts across some of the higher terrain there also, but looks like more of a coastal precipitation maker here versus diving inland and bringing a lot to the Sierra Nevada. But you can see there is some potential for precip through this period. Here's Los Angeles, so, even bigger uncertainty the further south you go. Here you see some of the ensembles with no precipitation, and some of them bringing a couple tenths, and some of them as we go off into the weekend here showing bigger amounts. So something that we'll be watching over the next few days. You can see we do have a few days to work these details out. Here's Reno, kind of showing that you do have some precipitation coming up here, maybe towards the end of the week. Again, we'll be watching that. And this is Merced as well. You can kind of see the big disagreement here between the ensemble runs on the European, and this is off for Vegas. Even a little bit of precip out there could be had as we go towards the weekend. Phoenix, some pretty juicy signals out there at times too. So again, we'll see how this trends over the next few days. Here's 6 to 10 day precipitation probability outlook. You can kind of see it bullseye in there a little bit in New Mexico and Arizona, but it does include California, Nevada, and the Pacific Northwest. This would be November 30th through December 4th. Here's a 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook, keeping things below normal across much of the Southwest. 8 to 14 day, we continue with the above average precipitation probability outlook. No huge storms shaping up just yet, but the European has some pretty interesting signals showing up. The GFS disagrees with how much precipitation it shows, but we have plenty of time to watch that for now. And then the 8 to 14 day starts to bring more of a southwest flow towards the end of the period here on through December 8th, which could start to warm things up a bit. But anyway, yeah, we'll be watching this system here over the next couple of days and see which model model trends on being right, and then continue to watch that ridge develop and the system's moving over the top of that. Big storm coming for Hawaii, it looks like, as well. Maybe I'll do a video later on that. But anyway, yeah, I hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.